Right, thank you for joining us on this NDTV exclusive. More details emerging of huge errors and loopholes in the verdict that acquitted Jayalalithaa of a case where she's been accused of having amassed disproportionate assets or assets which she could not explain. Now, of course, just to quickly recap, this was a case where she had been convicted several months ago, and the case had come up before the High Court here in Bangalore, from where we're going live, and the court, in an almost 1,000-page verdict, had acquitted her. Now, already, just a week after the acquittal, the public prosecutor, Mr. Acharya, had looked closely at the order, at the acquittal, and already had found a major mathematical error, an error of calculation, where he found that the disproportionate assets, which the judge said was only 8%, which is why he let Jayalalithaa off the hook, arguing that it takes at least a 10% disproportionate assets to convict somebody. The judge had found that it was only 8%. Mr. Acharya found that it was actually a mathematical error the judge had made while calculating the amount of loans Jayalalithaa and Shashikala had taken, and actually her disproportionate assets were close to 76%. So a huge seven-fold jump on the basis of the calculation made by the judge. But that's not where it ended. NDTV has gone even further into this particular order and has found several lapses in the manner in which the judge has calculated how much Jayalalithaa earned and how much she spent. And each of those errors actually only underlines the possibility of the disproportionate assets or unaccounted wealth rather than exempt her. Let's start off with looking at the first of these errors, and one of them is that in the list of aspects of income, legitimate income, which the judge ascribes to Jayalalithaa, he is listed as gifts, 1.5 crores worth of gifts. Now, these gifts are those that she received on her 44th birthday. This is after she had become chief minister, and these are gifts which were given to her by AIA-DMK functionaries as well as MLAs and ministers. But the CBI is actually probing these gifts. They're looking into each of these gifts, and that they've found that these amount to a bribe. They have charge sheeted Jayalalithaa under the Prevention of Corruption Act, and that case is in fact before the Supreme Court. I'm actually going to try and get the camera. I'll hold this up. This is the CBI charge sheet, which is looking into the question of these gifts, the illegal gifts, according to the CBI, which have been given to her. And if the camera can zoom in, it actually says that she accepted gifts in the form of demand drafts from 21 people who had official connections with her, and that these people actually were given positions, plum positions. They were the heads of corporations and so on. These are in fact a list of all the ADMK functionaries who gave these gifts. So it's extremely surprising that these gifts, which are actually under a CBI probe and which the CBI holds are tantamount to bribery, have actually found their way into the column of Jayalalitha's legitimate source of income. There is a suspicion. The special public prosecutor told us that the judge was not informed about the fact that these gifts were under a cloud and were being investigated, and that further raises questions about the manner in which this trial was conducted. We'll get into more of that in just a minute. The other big error, or the other big question mark, is over the exaggeration of the income of one of the Jayalalithaa companies, which is known as Jaya Publications. Now, Jaya Publications, the judge has shown, has an income of 4 crore rupees. But actually, and we'll put that graphic up on the screen for you, by Jayalalitha's own admission and Shashikala's own admission, Jaya Publications only had an income of 1.15 crore rupees, and its income has been exaggerated fourfold. There is no explanation in the judgment for why this income has been exaggerated. It must be pointed out, though, that this particular company was found to be running a fraudulent scheme by the trial court judge, who passed the verdict convicting her, saying that all the revenues that were coming into this company were through what could be called a Ponzi scheme, where fake depositors were created to show a big surge of income. For some reason, even though Jayalalithaa in this case actually put forward a much lower income, that has been exaggerated. So that further brings down the income as calculated by the Judge Kumaraswamy in his judgment. The third and final error appears to be the mystery over the cost of construction, all the various properties that were constructed across Chennai, across Tamil Nadu, even properties in Hyderabad. Now, this was a very big component of the unaccounted wealth of Jayalalithaa, as defined by the prosecution. They said that of the 66 crores, almost 27 crores was the cost of renovating and constructing all these properties. The judge brought this down to just 5 crores. He wiped out almost 22 crores. But how did he do this? He did this by simply applying a uniform rate of construction for all these properties. So whether they were bungalows, whether they were farmhouses, whether they were factories, and whichever part of Tamil Nadu they're in, he essentially fixed a rate of 2,500 rupees a square foot as the cost of construction and applied that across the board. And using that, he came up with a figure of only 5 crores. Again, we've been through the entire 1,000-page order very closely, and there is no clear explanation for how he arrived at this particular calculation. And if all these factors are taken into consideration, then it certainly presents a very different accounting picture of the unaccounted for wealth. What does this mean now for the case, and what are the implications as we move forward and as we come closer to Jayalalithaa actually now getting ready to step back into the shoes of Chief Minister? Friday's her first big public appearance in Chennai. Let me go across live to B.V. Acharya, who is of course the special public prosecutor in this case. He joins me live from Bangalore. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining me. I'm also joined, I must point out, by Subramanian Swamy, who's one of the complainants in the case. I'm joined by C.R. Saraswati, ADMK spokesperson, also Karuna Nandi, advocate, Supreme Court, Siddharth Vardarajan, whose recent portal, which he's just started, The Wire, has also broken some details of lapses in the judgment. But first to you, Mr. Acharya, if you can hear me, sir, clearly. Now, what are the implications of these additional loopholes that have emerged? Is it now fairly clear that you will be going in appeal and that you have a strong case to make that appeal?
No, that there is a strong case for filing an appeal is what I have already said, and I have given my written opinion to the government. It is for the government to take a decision in this behalf. But what I point out is, even excluding the valuation of the buildings which you refer to, if the other two errors which you pointed out first regarding gifts as well as the income of Jaya publications, these mistakes are corrected, the actual disproportionate asset will go up beyond 200%. That is the position.
I see. This is significant. You're saying if you factor all this in, disproportionate assets, your calculation found 76%. Now you're saying it could go up to 200%.
Please. Even excluding the valuation of buildings, which is a major thing. Without that, only on these 3 items, that is wrong calculation regarding bank loan, gifts, plus income of Jaya publications. If these 3 things, even accepting the case of the accused, you calculate, the percentage will go beyond 200%.
Right. Subramaniam Swamy joining us on the phone line, I believe, from Tirunelveli. What do you make of these additional details, and do you believe now that this will build the pressure on the Karnataka government to go forward with the appeal?
Well, first of all, this is not the only thing you pointed out. You have done your homework well. I congratulate you. But even this question of
Thank you.
The Namadu MGR newspaper, these were the figures that were added on were actually after she was charge sheeted. So it's actually not something that one can say is part of her earlier proposed income that she legitimately earned. It's actually a contrived scheme really to make it easier for her. This this judgment.
No, I agree with you. I agree that these are all part of an income which was mentioned earlier. We were only pointing out, sir, that the judge has calculated an income of Jaya Publications as 4 crore rupees, while they themselves have admitted 1.5 crore rupees. So it's an extraordinary thing that it's been exaggerated by 4 times. That's all. Yes.
What I'm saying is, you see, first of all, even the question of this 10% rule, now where does this come from? It comes from a criminal law amendment, which has now been phased out after the 1988 Prevention of Corruption Act, which Mr. Rajiv Gandhi felt had to be redone, and by scrapping the 1947 Prevention of Corruption Act.
Yes.
So there are plenty of things, and I would say that if the Karnataka government does not appeal, because they are the people who are the prosecuting agency, it will be a scandal of the first order in its own right. So I expect that the Karnataka government will appeal, although the congressmen are getting agitated that I'm putting pressure on the Karnataka government. I'm not putting any pressure. I am not one of the complainants, as you said. I am the complainant. And therefore, the Karnataka government doesn't appeal, I automatically get a locus standi to appeal. And therefore, I'm waiting for the Karnataka government to make a decision. And Mr. Acharya is one of the finest lawyers that I know. So I think if he is the prosecutor for the Karnataka government, I'm sure that this judgment will be overturned.
I will just play you an interview in just a second of Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, who I spoke to earlier in the day about this. But let me, before that, go across to C.R. Saraswati, ADMK spokesperson, joining us on the phone line from Trichy. Ma'am, are you concerned with these additional details coming out, which are showing big loopholes in the judgment, that there will be an appeal and that could have political consequences for Jayalalithaa?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah. One thing, we are in a very happy mood to say. We are going to see Obama as a Chief Minister again in a day after one thing. The other thing is, see, all this case has been taken only by Karunanidhi. People doesn't want to go for Supreme Court. Public in Tamil Nadu, they don't want to go. Only Karunanidhi wants to catch somebody. It may be through Acharya, through Mr. Acharya, or through Mr. Subramaniam Swamy. They want to go for appeal. But one thing I'm telling you, all these properties, even you are telling now about Chennai's house. Poyas Garden house was bought before 25 years. And Hyderabad property was bought when she was a heroine. Not after she became a Chief Minister.
This is not about... No, ma'am, you're missing the point. In fact, if I may say so with respect, you're missing several points here. I don't understand what this has to do with political conspiracy. This is simply a matter of fact, of official record, of judicial record. The calculations that have been made to show that Ms Jayalalithaa did not have disproportionate assets, actually it is turning out that those calculations may have been wrong. So do you think that your celebrations that you're planning for the return of Ms Jayalalithaa might have to be postponed?
Our Amma knows law very well. Hello?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Go ahead, ma'am. Our Amma knows law very well. She must have read all the 1,000 papers of the judgment copy. She knows very well. If she takes a decision, if it's the right path, only she will go. She will never take the decision. See, she wants to face this case only in the court. She had opportunities. In 2000, when Congress was an opposition party, that time opposition leader, Mr. S.R. Balasubramanian said, we'll bring a revolution, we'll bring a parliament in the assembly itself. We can say this is a false case. But our Amma said no.
Ma'am, we're diverting.
It's a false case.
We're diverting from the main point. This is not about whether, with all respect, Amma, as you address her, knows law or not. This is about whether or not the verdict actually has the manner in which this case was handled, the political backing or the lack of it behind the arguments. Let's just first listen in as to the crucial.
Sir, only 3 things I wanted to do. One, Mr. Acharya is questioning something, Mr. Subramaniam Swamy is questioning something, and Karnataka government has to decide. Okay, in 22nd on 23rd, definitely our Amma will have a press meet. Definitely she will clear all these things when she meets the press people. That time, because when leader is there, we cannot go beyond the limit. I cannot sit and talk about the judgment and all. But definitely in a day or two, when our Amma is going to meet the press, every picture will come very clearly. She will explain everything to the public and